Hi everybody, Becky Spieth here, your direct sales specialist and your coach. Super excited that you guys are here. We're going to be talking, let me adjust this. We're going to be talking with you guys today about power coaching and how you can coach your team to greater levels of success. So I hope that you're excited about that. I know I am. I think coaching is just an incredible answer to most anything that you deal with, whether you're in direct selling or not. So hi Heather, so glad that you're with us. What I'd love for you guys to do as you guys are joining, if you have questions or comments, I want to be able to answer those as soon as possible. So I see we've got lots and lots of people here that have joined us. Thank you so much. Hey Lola, glad that you're with us. This is probably one of the most powerful talks that I can give. So I wanted to make sure, thanks for the thumbs up and the hearts, wanted to make sure that I was able to hopefully answer your questions if you have any of them. Hi Christine, glad that you're with us. Hi Amanda, so glad that you're with us today. I've missed you. Amy, so glad that you're with us as well. I want to start off with talking about what coaching is. Coaching is not training. And unfortunately, many times, whether you're in a traditional company or you are in direct selling, many people believe that, hi Ashley, that coaching is actually a disciplinary action. Sometimes they think it's, actual training, and it's not. Coaching is asking really great questions, taking you from where you are right now to where you desire to be. So that is the basis for coaching. Hey, Cammie, so glad that you're with us. I miss you. Lots of friends joining us today. So what I want to do as far as our talk on Facebook Live today is I made some notes. And just so you know, I don't know if you guys know about mind mapping, but there's my mind map for our talk today. This is a great way to organize your thoughts. It's also great to use as a tool when you're taking notes about coaching with your team. Hi, Denise from Raleigh. So glad that you're with us. I just grab colored pens, or many times I always have at least a 3 or 4 color pen on me when I'm doing my coaching. I prefer that you turn the computer off because it just helps you have that undivided attention. And I just take my central thought, put it here in the center, and as I think of what I want to talk about, or as my client or my team member thinks about, a specific area, I just draw one branch out, and then I continue to draw out according to the different things they're talking about. Many times as your team member, hey Brianna, I love you. One of the things that usually happens is that your team member will talk about a ton of different things as they're trying to offload out of their mind what they're trying to actually accomplish or what their goal would be for the session. And so what I like to do is do the mind map, and that way there I can keep track. And as they bounce back and forth from ideas, or as they're processing through, it helps me be able to keep better track of where they really want to go. And then at the end, I'm actually able to repeat back to them their desires and what we decided as far as options, and they can select what they want to do moving forward. So that's kind of a really new technique that maybe you haven't thought of doing. Mind mapping's been around for a long time, but it really does help as I'm working with my coaching clients to help them. So let's talk about power coaching. Okay, so with power coaching, and I'm going to try to straighten this. Whoa, sorry about that. That was a drop off of the podium. Let me see, off of the stand here for the camera. So sorry about that. I was just going to try to straighten it, but I dropped you, so please forgive me. Hey Cheryl, glad that you're with us. So I was just talking about putting together your mind map as your client is talking or as your teammate is talking, and it really helps me to stay focused. And not drop the cameras, hopefully. So, hey Tara, so glad that you're with us. So one of the things that I put on here as I was talking that I want to make sure that you're aware of is that your sessions, whether you are getting paid for them or you are working with a team member, is that you want to make sure that no matter what you're doing, that you are professional, so that you're taking notes, that you don't have any judgment attached to it. And that's one of the key things as you're working with your coachee, participant, we'll call them, you want to make sure that they understand that this isn't about you, that this is completely about them. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure, and I'm just going to look at my notes just so that you guys don't mind, because I want to make sure that I'm capturing everything that I wanted to talk about tonight, is that you're in relationship. I can't tell you, this breaks my heart. Time after time, I talk with leaders and they are not in relationship with their team. They don't even know their team members. They don't know what their goals are. They don't know why they're not performing to par. They don't know why they're disengaging. And the number one reason that I see is they're just not in relationship. And so when you are entering into a coaching alliance, agreement, partnership, whatever you want to call it, you want to make sure that you are in relationship with them, and that there's clear boundaries, that they know what they can expect and what you can expect. And you've got to make sure that you are in a place of trust. The best way to do that is to make sure that you are not in a place of judgment. So even if you don't agree with them and what their course of action is, it's going to be very important that you don't pass judgment. One of the things, hi Michelle, one of the things that you want to make sure that you do is that you set aside your agenda. It can't be anything about you in the process. And this is hard for leaders. I'll be really honest with you. When I coach leaders to coach, one of the things is that we want people to produce, right? If we've got something invested in it, we want to make sure that they're producing. A lot of times people will bring me in as an outside coach because they know I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to expect that they perform at a certain level. My main agenda is that whatever they hope to get out of the session, or what they hope to get out of the entire overall agreement, is that is fulfilled. And that's one of the most important things. You don't want to put your own agenda into it, because if you do, you're going to taint, or what we call color the water, during the process. And Tara, you're so great. That is, I think, one of the most important things that we do, is that we keep it like a no judgment zone, and that you give them your undivided attention. We had mentioned that a little bit earlier, I think, before I dropped the phone. We also want to make sure that they are connecting their head and their heart. Many times, I coach a lot of women, even women executives, and they come mostly from a heart-centered place where it's all about how they feel. And many times in business, we need it to be a logical decision that needs to be made. So what we need to do is we need to integrate the two so that it's more of a holistic approach, and not just one or the other. Kathy, thank you. So one of the things that I think is important is that not only are we helping to shift their paradigms, we're asking great questions, we're not training and telling, is that we keep a positive focus. And one of the ways we can do that is by watching our language, and watching the language of whomever we're coaching. Many times people will say, well, I should have done something. And you guys know that I always say that you shouldn't should on yourself, right? That's a really dangerous space to be. And so what I like to do instead is move that word should and move that to I choose to, or I chose to. That you want to focus on what you're actually saying, because it tells us in the word, and I'm a person of faith, so it tells me that I create with whatever I speak. So when you speak something, you've actually created it. It actually starts first in the mind. It comes first of all in thought, then in what we say. So if we should do something, it brings negativity and guilt, and it's kind of like we pile all these bags on ourselves and we carry it with us, which we don't want to do, right? So I want to encourage you, as you're thinking about your language, maybe consider transformational language and use the word choose instead of should. I choose not to versus can't. Instead of saying can I, how can I? Michelle's been shoulding all day. That's bad news. And then also, a lot of people are saying overwhelm. I'm in overwhelm, because they don't make good choices with their time. And so they overcommit with time, or things take longer, and they say I'm in overwhelm. Instead of using the word overwhelm, you might want to say I have multiple opportunities, or I'm in the process of choosing opportunities. So that's also something to consider. Instead of using try, oh gosh, I hate hate that word. I am not a Star Wars fan at all, but I will tell you that one of the most important things that I will say that I love is Yoda's quote. Go ahead and type it in, you know, do or do not, there is no try, right? So just wanted to, hi, Joy, thank you so much. Realize that don't use try. So if your teammate says, I'm going to try, you need to reframe that and reposition that, help them shift that paradigm into what are they willing to do? Because if they're saying try, basically what they're saying is they're not going to. So don't even think for a minute that if they're saying try, that they're going to actually do anything, because I promise you that they probably won't. A lot of times people will say change. And one of the things that I know that people hate is change, right? It freaks us out. So one of the things I want you to consider, if you're saying I need to change that or I should change that, that's two in the negative category, right? So what we want to say instead is we need to shift, we need to change, or we need to enhance, we need to adjust versus change. So you might want to think about that. Okay. And then a lot of times we'll say, you know, I've got a problem with that. And problem, of course, is negative. And so we want to transform that language as well. And so as you're working with your teammate and they're saying that they have a problem, actually reframe it to challenge or opportunity. They've got an opportunity. So let me ask you guys, type in inside of the comments if you have said any of these words that need to maybe be transformed. So we said should, can't, overwhelm, try, change, or problem. Now I know for some of you guys, like Michelle, you said you were shouldn't all day. So, you know, if you can catch yourself inside of this, sometimes this is one of the biggest changes that actually takes place as a result of being coached, that we start changing the way we speak, which will change the way we think. And we know if we think or we speak differently, it's going to be a huge change. So, okay, so we've got Heather saying all the above, Emily's try, Tina, all the above. Okay. Too funny. Patty, I've used them all. I think we've all at one point or another used them all. Should and overwhelm is huge, right? But realize that even just shifting those words just very easily can make a huge, huge difference. So let's go back and talk about power coaching your team. Okay. And when we power coach our team, one of the things that's important is we realize that the subconscious or other than conscious mind doesn't sleep at night, right? So it's always working. It's what keeps you breathing, keeps your heart going, it keeps you moving. And so if we can program it at night, then, or right before we go to bed, yes, Kathy, I will repeat the words if you give me just a minute, okay? Oh, Joy says, I used to, but I don't say this anymore. I hear those words all the time on coaching calls with my team, but I ask them to change their language. It's so important, right, Tara? I'm sure you've noticed a big difference already just by helping people change their wording. So let me give you the words again. Choose versus should. Choose not to versus can't. I have an opportunity or several opportunities versus overwhelm. Will or won't, do or do not versus try. Shift, enhance, adjust versus change. Challenge or opportunity versus problem. Okay? Now, going back to the thought around our brain, our subconscious mind doesn't go to sleep. It keeps working for us. What is most important is that if you start coaching your team or anyone, that they fill out their prep forms the night before. A lot of times they'll say like, oh, well, I'll fill it out in the morning. My brain's fresher in the morning. Well, what happens is they think, and it's so funny. Yes, Heather, I love that verse, right? I actually have it right over here on my wall. It's actually up there on vinyl. What happens is they think they're filling out their form for you so you can prepare all of your answers to coach them or train them, which we know is not right. And it's really funny. That's not what happens at all. So what we actually want to have happen is we want them to fill out the prep form beforehand the night before, because it prepares their mind and it starts aligning how they're going to accomplish whatever their goal is for the session, so that when they do come to the session sometimes the next morning or afternoon, they don't even need to coach around that, because their brain has already been used to this, aligns what they need to do, and they're very clear on what the next action step needs to be. So they actually are getting double bonus off the coaching if they do their prep form before. It's not necessarily for you so you can gather all the training materials, but it's really actually to help prepare them for their session the next day. Okay, so that's really important, and a lot of people miss that or want to do it in the morning, and it doesn't have the same effect. Okay, we want to also do an intake questionnaire for them, and I have them fill that out before we actually even have our first conversation. I know some coaches use that as the first conversation. However, I feel that I can move them further along in the coaching process much quicker if they do this on their own prior. I, of course, read it, and then we actually send it. Hello, Natirias. Good to see you. Hi, Carrie. So glad that you're here. I saw you were doing disc training. Congratulations on that, getting your certification. But when we do this intake form, I believe that what it does is it enhances the coaching, speeds it up, and it's 1 or 2 sessions that I don't have to take their money for. So it's like an added value to them. So that's just an extra value add that I offer my clients. And then also, if you're working with your team members, it'll help you be prepared and help them along in the coaching process a little bit first. So we want to be professional. We want to make sure that we have the important components to coaching. We watch our transformational language. We make sure that we're speaking in a positive tense with positivity. Those are all important things. We've talked about forms, and I also have them do a commitment form. The commitment form is to let them truly understand that you're committed to their success. What can they count on you for? What are you counting on them for? What can they expect from you? What are you expecting from them? And it makes it a little more formal, so they know it's not just they're going to call you whenever if they ever have a problem, and then you're just going to kind of walk them through it. That's not what coaching is by any means. What we want to do with coaching is we actually have a formula that we follow. And one of the coaching certifications that I hold taught me this acronym Tagoro. And so I think that's a really important acronym to know. And I know there's several other coach schools and books that I've read on coaching that will explain that for you as well. So let me tell you what they are. And this is going to help you remember what's the order that you're going to coach in. Okay, so the first one is topic for T. The second one is G for goal. So we want to know what the goal is for the session, but also their overarching goal per the whole time that you plan on coaching. Okay. It's times which Facebook Live had a pause button. I know, Tara, but you know what we're going to do is I am going to post this for you so that with Facebook Live, you'll be able to watch this later. And we're going to send the link out in the newsletter on Saturday. Okay, so just that you know, go ahead and put the boys to bed. Those precious, cute boys. I think you have the cutest boys on the whole planet. No offense to anybody else, but those boys are stinking cute. They're so adorable. And then you'll be able to watch it later on my timeline. And then we're also going to include it in one of the newsletters coming up as well. So just watch the timeline. I'll make sure it's posted there, and then you'll be able to get it from there. So let's go over what the acronym is for the order of that you're going to coach. The topic, so it might be bookings, let's say, or maybe it could be sponsoring, or how do I get a new lead, or I can't get the close at my party, or I can't get people to get in line when I'm ready to cash out, or my parties are taking 4 hours and it's way too long. Whatever it is, whatever that topic is, that's would be the topic. G is for goal. So this would be like, so if, let's just say we're going to go with, I can't get my party to close. No, let's do this one instead. I can't get the appointment. All right. I can't get my booking or the appointment. So that'd be the topic. My goal would be to be able to come up with a strategy on how to get 2 appointments on my calendar. And then the next thing would be outcome. That's the desired outcome. So the desired outcome kind of and the goal sometimes can be interchangeable or connected, right? Then the next one would be reality. So as we go through and we can start really getting clear about what we want the specific outcome to be, Then we would want to know what is the reality of the situation. Now, many times, oh my gosh, hi Debbie, thank you. One of the things that happens is that people want to do counseling or they want to fix somebody else. That is not what coaching is about. It's not your responsibility to fix somebody. I'm just saying right now, like, don't take that on. That's God's job. And you know, if you're going to do counseling, that requires a license. And so we're not going to do that. When you're counseling, you're looking in the past all the time. So a lot of people think that that's what reality is, that we're looking to see and dig through your past about what all your issues are. And it couldn't be further from the truth. What we're looking at is what's your reality right now. So it might be, hi Diane, it actually might be that you don't have any bookings on your calendar, or any appointments on your calendar. It might be the reality is that you haven't really asked anybody because you're too nervous. The reality could be that you don't know, enough people, or you think you don't know enough people. So it could just be a myriad of different things. Hi, Annette, glad that you're with us. So when you look at this formula so far, we've got topic, goal, outcome, reality, and then we've got options. And this is where I recommend that you spend most of your coaching time. Asking curious questions on how can they do it? What do they want to try? So your questions are never going to have why in it. When you're coaching, why a lot of times brings a negative connotation, or it makes people get on the defense. So they don't want to do that. So we want to make sure that they stay in that good, peaceful, open place so that they can continue to receive. I kind of think it's like receive, download from God into their spirit man on how to connect it to what their purpose and their destiny is. So we want to make sure that we help them stay as open as possible. Thus the reason not to judge. And so as we look at some of the options, I just keep asking those questions, the how, the what, the when, the where. Those kind of questions help so much. Okay. Thanks, Kathy, for pointing or typing that in, what we've got so far. And then the last one that goes in this acronym is W, and that's your way forward. So once you've discovered like what their topic is for the session, what's their goal from the session, what's the desired outcome, what's really the reality right now, what are some of the options to consider on things you might want to try, just that exploring it and brainstorming it together by you as the coach holding the space and asking questions. Then the way forward is actually their action step. So out of all those things, what do they want to actually try? Now, of some people, especially your I kind of personalities, they want to do like 20 things. And in reality, we want them to pick one, maybe two, if they, the one's not going to take very long, so that they can have a win. What happens inside of the neural pathways in your brain is it starts creating new pathways to start a new habit. And in order to make that happen, we've got to have those endorphins go off that says, hey, it's fun over here. This is where you want to hang out. Go down this way, go down this way. And of course, that's not really exactly what happens, but putting neuroscience into Becky's Spieth language, that's what I'm going to say happens, because it's a little bit easier to understand. And what it does is it'll start moving you in that way to say, yeah, man, I like the endorphins. I want to go that way. That makes me feel good when we go in this direction. And it'll be easier to create the habit, right? Instead of just taking something away, we're going to create something new and replace it with that. And so as we're looking at our way forward, we want to take all of those options, have them pick one, maybe two at the most. Now, in a minute or two, as soon as I'm finished with this section, what we're going to talk about is I'm going to give you some questions that you're going to be able to ask your team. So right now, I'm going to encourage you to message anybody else that you know that's in direct selling or that is a coach or that ever wanted to be coached, that needs help in their business because they are not where they'd like to be. I want you to message them right now. Tell them to jump on this Facebook Live because I'm going to give the questions in just a couple minutes, okay? So if you guys like that, you can give me some thumbs up, give me some hearts, and then message them and say, hey, jump on this right away because she's going to give the questions. And these are going to be coaching questions that you can use when you're actually coaching your team or to self-coach yourself. And so this is going to be amazing. Okay, so as we go and we come up with our one or maybe two, possibly two ideas that we want to take action on, that's what we call the way forward. Now, this is all fine and dandy. However, thanks for the thumbs up and the hearts. I love it. Now, this is fine and dandy. However, if there isn't some form of accountability, it's not going to do much good, right? If they don't know that you're going to follow up. So, I know some of you are thinking, you know what, I don't have time to follow up. And I get that. I've got a huge coaching practice and speaking business, and I write lots of curriculum, and I'm training several companies and they're emerging leaders. And I'm exploring becoming a chief leadership officer right now. And so there's like all kinds of different things going on in my life. So I want you to know that I'm just as busy as you are. You don't have to be the one that follows up. You don't have to be the one that has all the answers, right? The answers are actually in the questions that you're going to ask as the coach and as the leader. And then the accountability, put that on the responsibility of the individual. Now, if I have somebody say they're going to do something, I do put it in my calendar on the day that they say they're going to follow up with me. And that way there I can double check at the end of the day. I can send them a text or send them a quick message and let them know, hey, I didn't hear from you. Just wanted to make sure you were still on track. Now, I don't do that many times in a row because we talk about their own accountability at their next session if they've missed that. But for some reason, sometimes people get freaked out. Sometimes they get busy. Sometimes life happens and they just can't get it accomplished. But I want them to know that they matter to me and that I'm going to be following up and watching for them to turn in whatever they said their action step was going to be. I don't give them the action step or the way forward. You know, and a lot of people say, well, tell me what to do. No, really, like, I don't know. Trust me, you do know. God put it inside of your spirit, man. It's not up to me to determine your best way forward. That's between you and God. And he put it in there before you were even in your mother's womb. It's what it tells us in the Bible. So I'm just saying, you got it in you somewhere. As a coach, we might need to reframe the question. We might need to give you more time and more space to sit and think about it so that you can pull out your own best answer. But you have to trust that the best answer is inside of the individual. Okay? So as we're putting together their way forward and we're talking about the accountability, with the accountability, people that are independents or people that are paying for coaching are usually in a high leadership level position, or they're entrepreneurs, and they don't want anybody to be the boss of them, right? So they do not want to have accountability for the most part. So what I say instead is, how will I know that you've accomplished that? I want to celebrate you. Hey, Dorothy, thank you so much. So what I like to do is I like to say, how can I celebrate you? And then like they can text message me, and then I don't even a lot of times write a message back. I send it a little emoji. Oh my gosh, do you guys love Bitmoji? Have you guys ever had that? I don't know if you've ever used that or not, but it's bitmoji.com, and you can make this little avatar and it looks just like you. They're super cute. And then they have like different things. And I will say some of them are a little raunchy, some of them are a little vulgar. Just bypass those. Don't look at those. But they do have some really cute ones. So a lot of times I'll send back one of those Bitmojis or a little emoji of like, you know, the balloons or whatever. Rachel's like, I use it all the time. I love it. I know, isn't it the best? I just think it's so, so cute. Hi, Heather. So glad that you're with us. The Bitmoji is great. You can also use a regular emoji, and it'll save you tons and tons of time. And the ones that you use over and over again, they actually store like up at the top. And so, you know, if it's like, congratulations, good job, thank you, those are stored at the top, and they can literally take a second. Now, to have somebody want to be celebrated by a Bitmoji, if that's the thing that takes them, and it only takes, you know, for success, it only takes me a second or two, it's worth it to me, okay? So, just wanted to, hi Donna, how are you? Hi Heather, so glad that you're with us. Just wanted to give you what what was it? Oh, I'm sorry. The acronym is for the coaching process. It's topic, goal, outcome, reality, options, way forward, and then accountability or celebration. It's up to you what you want to call it. Hey, so glad that you're with us, Susie. Hi, Donna. So thank you. Hey, Jennifer. Whoop, whoop. Oh, Colorado's in the house, right? We've got lots of lemongrass people on here. I love it. So this is what we kind of have talked about so far. Is we've talked about what are the successful components, how to be professional when you're coaching, what are some of the forms that you want to use and how to use them. Transformational vocabulary, super important how we talk, because what we think about, we bring about, and what we talk about, we create. So lots of love coming on there. I love it. And then we talked about our formula. We talked about what kind of questions to ask. And so let me give you the questions, right? I know a lot of you are like, give me the questions. But I couldn't just give you the questions without having you really understand like what coaching is, what it isn't, and kind of giving you the background. So I hope you guys have got some good tips so far off of the Facebook Live. I think these are kind of fun to do. I actually had somebody ask me if I would do one to show how to put on makeup. And so for those of you that sell cosmetics, I know we got a lot of beauty control people on, we've got Mary Kay people on, and we've got Lemongrass. Oh, we love you. Oh, you're so sweet, Jennifer. I love you guys too. But that would be a really good Facebook Live to do to enhance your business. That's just a little side note there. Is, you know, people want to know how to put on makeup. And so actually next week, I'm super excited about this. I'm going to be with the John Maxwell team at the International Maxwell Certification event. And I have had several people ask me if I teach a makeup class. So if you're part of my John Maxwell team peeps, I am going to do that while I'm there. They also have a great team that comes in that'll do makeovers and stuff for you. But if you want to come to my room and see me without makeup, be warned, it's scary. And then you can come. I'd be happy. Bring your own makeup. We'll talk about how to put it on, what some tips are, and what I use. And you can see it from there. But one of the things I'm most excited about is the John Maxwell team has just outdone itself. We're going to have so many new things. We're going to be playing the leadership game. I'm going to be hosting a table for that. We've got some new fun awards. We've got a lot more interaction from the team and the leaders. I'm going to be meeting so many of the people that I've trained on the John Maxwell team in person for the first time from around the world. I'm super, 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 super excited about that. Of course, being in John's space, hearing his new messages and his different things will be really great. I just got his new book on capacity, and I'm just looking around my office to see like, oh, where is it? But that's going to be a great book. I'm actually going to read that on the plane. I've given myself that as a little treat for my flight. But that's always a great thing to learn. We will have Seth Godin there, so I'm going to hopefully come up with some new ideas to be able to help you guys. I've already been getting downloads from God all day on new ideas for business and products and how I can serve you as a coach. So, oh, and one other thing before I give you the questions, I have had several people ask, like, how can I get involved in coaching? I do have space for a couple of private clients right now. Just know that there is a financial commitment to that. That is probably going to move you, well, it will move you quicker than anything else that I offer at a faster pace, because we're going to work on just your specific issues. I'm going to do Tagoro with you every single time. Plus, we do an overarching Tagoro when I bring you in as a new client. So if you're interested in that, feel free to private message me or reach out to me. And then we're going to start a group coaching cohort in April. We're going to have one for directors or leaders and above, and then we'll have one for consultants up to director. That's going to be starting in April. We don't have that advertised yet, so if you are interested, private message us or email us at support@beckyspieth.com, SPIETH. And we'll get you on a list for that. Okay, we've got a couple people already on the waiting list for that. And I keep it to a small group. We only let 10 in each group, just because I can't give you the attention that I need to. Group coaching is great because you get to hear other people being coached, and you might not even realize that there's an issue about certain things, and then you hear about it and you hear me coach through it. It helps hone your coaching skills too. But you won't go as deep, as quick, or as far as if you do private coaching. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys know that's kind of what I have going on for coaching. So a couple of things that you want to think about when you're asking questions is you want to make sure they're open-ended. So no yes or no questions. We don't want any of those, because then your client or your teammate will say, oh. So the question might be like, so do you have any bookings on your calendar? No. Are you willing to do anything to get them? Nope. Well, then coaching session's over, right? That's not what we're trying to get at. So what we would ask is we want to ask open-ended questions. So at the beginning, we're going to kind of follow that formula I gave you. Some of the questions that I would ask around goal setting and planning is, and this is a really, really good one. If you could not fail, what would you do? Because what happens is most people get stuck in their own belief barriers. I mean, we've been told since we were little that money doesn't grow on trees, right? And the early bird gets the worm, like there's only one. So we've been indoctrinated with all these messages, and we need to understand that, hi, Bron, glad that you're with us. Will I see you next week at the IMC? We want to, when we're asking the questions, unlock those belief barriers, help them reframe, help them come up with a new paradigm or a shift in what their thinking is. So a great one when you're doing goal setting would be, if you couldn't fail, what would you do? Another one might be, what are the possibilities? Most of the time, we can only see one way. We get this tunnel vision, right? Or we can't see the forest for the trees because we're just in the thick of all of it. So as a coach, it's really nice to have your client or your teammate take a deep breath and just kind of center themselves, just become completely present with where they're at. And then ask them some of these questions like, what are the possibilities? Especially when we're talking about getting an appointment or getting a booking or something like that, a lot of times people just can't, they think they've done everything, right? So I like to ask, what are the possibilities? Is there anything that you haven't tried, that you've thought about trying? Because a lot of times we've got this little idea in the back of our mind that we're thinking, you know what, I'd love to try that, but I'm afraid it'll fail, or it might not be received well. So when you're in a coaching space with someone, it's really nice, especially if you know they're not going to judge you, you can completely trust them, that they can bounce these like wackadoodle ideas off their coach, right? And let me tell you, as a coach, I've heard some wackadoodle ones. I'm just saying. But the thing is I just hold their space for them. They think about it, and many times they'll be like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. I don't even know what I was thinking. Or what can happen as well is I'll hold the space off of that question, and they will come up and they'll keep brainstorming around it. And it was kind of like the cork in a bottle of champagne. Once we blew the cork off of it with that wackadoodle idea, all of a sudden all the bubbly comes out, and it's like so exciting, and all the really good effervescence comes out, and that energy explodes out of them, and they've got the most creative ideas that can come. So encourage that they explore some of these ideas, even if they might think they're a little crazy or wackadoodle, okay? Another question when you're goal setting and planning was, what outcome do you want? Oh my gosh. I'm just saying. If I had a penny for every time I heard all the things that the person didn't want when I asked the question about what do you want, I mean, it's so easy for us to determine what we don't want, right? It's so much harder to frame because we don't have a frame of reference for our preferred future in front of us until we create it in our own mind. And a lot of us are afraid to do that, or we haven't been trained to do that, to think in that way. And so when we talk about, what outcome do you want, holding that space for them as the coach is really, really important. So, helping them move from the space of what they don't want, because again, transformational vocabulary can move them to the other side and help them determine what do they want. What's the vision for your business is another great question, because you might be thinking one thing, especially if you're a leader, thinking, okay, I want to, you would want to move to the top level of the company. But for many people, that's not even in their vision or their level of awareness right now. So they need to get to the space where that can grow. So I always want to know, what is the vision for your business? And, it tells us in the word as well that without a vision, the people perish. So does the business. I'm just saying. So we've got to make sure they're very clear about what they want that vision to look like. Okay, so that helps with the goal setting and planning. What are your intentions for the month? What are your intentions for the week? For my direct selling friends, I just want to encourage you from the bottom of my heart, stop talking about monthly business. Start talking about weekly business and what you truly, what your teammate wants in the week. For some people, their goals are so amazing that they need to actually talk about a daily plan of action and break it down all the way into the smallest pieces, right? How do you eat a whale or how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we have to keep baby stepping it back, making the bites and the pieces so small that they're actually able to accomplish them. So really, really super important. And something else that I think is really important that can happen in business a lot is we lose our joy, right? We lose that passion, that first love. And so I would encourage you to, when you're setting goals with your client, is to ask them, what brings you joy? Hi, Dennis. So glad to have you on Facebook again. It was great to see you this morning. So as they're putting together their goals, if they're not passionate about them, if they don't bring them joy, it's going to be a struggle for them to fulfill that and to really work through that process. So making sure you identify, especially for your I personalities again, that there's a joy factor, that there's a sense of fulfillment that's going to come. So those are some questions that I would ask as a coach, my team. Hi, Wanda. Glad that you're with us. I was coaching them when I'm talking about goal setting and planning. Okay. So the next that we want to ask, because, it just kind of makes sense if we determine, we can just ask, what's your topic? What's your goal? As we put the goal together, we've got those questions and we're clear. And the desired outcome kind of goes along the same lines, but maybe just a little bit more specific. We can ask what the reality truly is, right? So a couple of questions that I might ask about, what is your reality? I would just say, well, tell me where you're currently at. So if this is your desired outcome, where are you currently at? What do you see as far as your plan of action? What do you see right now, or what are you currently doing right now to get the results that you're currently receiving? So those are just kind of like really basic questions. I think we need more deep questions when we're talking again about the commitment and taking action. Okay, so that's where I'm going to go, and I'm going to give you a few more. Once you have a goal in place, a lot of people don't want to set a goal because they're afraid of failing or being judged by others around them if they make their goal known. So that's another reason why you want to make sure you hold that space for them very, very safely, that they have that level of trust built with you so they know that's not going to happen. Then we need to ask them, what's going to be your first step, because we want to make sure that they don't get overwhelmed by the process. And I will even ask, what's your first step? And I'll ask, what's your next first step? And for some reason, it's just a little more palatable, and it keeps people in that possibility thinking. And they don't shut down thinking there's so many steps, they can't figure out how to get all the way to the end, that they shut down, right? So as a coach, we want to just give them little steps at a time so they can see themselves accomplishing it. Remember, because then they get those endorphins, those good things, and they start going down that good pathway, right? Creating the new neural pathways in their brain. The neurons will actually fire differently. Another question around commitment and taking action is, how will you make that happen? Instead of saying, what are you going to do? Hi, Glenda. Glad that you're here with us. Welcome. We want to ask, how will you make it happen? Because we want to let them know that we're here to help support them, right? Especially if we are a leader on their team. But we don't want them to think that we're going to do all the action steps, right? Or we're going to give them their plan of action. So I like to ask the question, how will you make that happen? What will you achieve by taking that action? That's another really important one, because it puts the motivator behind it. Hi, Marie. I haven't seen you in so long. It's so good to see you. Oh, my gosh. I didn't even see you, Glenda, at BNI. So sorry about that. I would have stopped and said hello. I actually had to get on a training call, so apologize that I didn't get to see you at BNI. So many people are afraid to take action. They don't know how to tap into their passion centers inside of themselves. So a great question to help them tap into the passion center, which really would motivate them, is to ask them, what would you achieve? And then take them to other places, because we know they're going to talk about their return on investment probably based off of, income or, number of new people on their team or some kind of a very tangible result. However, to get connected into those passion centers, we've got to connect to emotion. Again, this is going back to what we were talking about, is the connecting the head and the heart together, right? That's when decisions are made. And every decision is based off of emotion, either a positive emotion or a negative emotion. So we want to make sure that we get them tapped into that passion place, that passion center. And a great question to do that is, what will you achieve by taking this action and taking it more than just from the return on investment that we can put into an Excel spreadsheet? We want to actually have it be something that will be tied to an emotion. We know how powerful the emotional why is. And so it's kind of doing the same thing, right? We're taking them back to that passion center. What is your commitment on a scale of 1 to 10 is very important. 1 with being, you know what, I'm not even thinking about doing this. And 10 being like, I can't wait, like, can we get off the phone now so I can get started? And one of the other things I want to encourage you too is, I know a lot of you are super busy. And one of the things that I do that I learned a long time ago is I started coaching by the phone. I was doing it by Skype with the video conferencing. I know some of you do that by Zoom and different platforms like that, Google Hangout. But what I found is people were canceling. And I couldn't figure out why they were canceling. And then finally I asked, like, because they would wait till like the last minute and cancel. I'm like, this is not cool, right? They need to honor our time. We're honoring theirs. It was in the agreement that they would do that. What's going on? Well, they didn't have their makeup on, or they had their messy bun in, or they didn't look good. So what I've done is I've gone to a lot of phone coaching. Now, I know some of you like to have that interaction back and forth, see eyeball to eyeball, and feel free to use one of those platforms. Many of you need to do that because your team members are across the country or across the world that you're coaching, right? But I have found that if I listen very carefully, hi Crystal, glad to see that you're with us. If I listen very carefully, I can hear a change in breathing. I can hear a change in tone, pitch. I can hear, how quickly they talk, how excited they are, the passion in their voice. So just, become a really good listener. That's a really important component as a coach as well, that you listen not only for the things that are being said, but you listen for the things that aren't being said as well. Okay? But when we become a really, really good listener, it can make all the difference. And so I do ask them on a scale of 1 to 10 where their commitment level is. If it's not at a 10, you guys know what I'm going to say, especially my direct selling people, because, we use this to close people into joining the business, right? I'm going to ask, what is it going to take to move you to a 10? Or what's holding you back from making that a 10? Because I've got to move them to a 10 before we get off the phone. Otherwise, we don't even need to coach again. They're not going to do anything, and we're not going to get them to the place they truly desire to be. They're going to feel like a failure because they're going to say that they committed to something even though they didn't commit all the way. Okay, so committing to me is kind of like being pregnant. Either you are or you aren't. Okay, so it's got to be 100%. Hey, Amy, aloha. Boy, I was thinking about that today, how I wish I was on a beach in Maui. So thank you. You kind of ruined me now for the rest of the Facebook Live. Oh, my goodness. So if you don't have them at a 10, we need to figure out how to get them to a 10. A lot of times it's they feel like they're not going to be successful, or they might not have a babysitter, or they need an additional resource. Maybe they don't feel comfortable in maybe in languaging something or the verbiage. So figure out what it is and then help resource them and move them to a 10. Okay? Another question might be, in the bigger view of things, how important is this? Now, this was a big one for me. Okay? I love you too, Crystal. For me, I had a tendency, believe it or not, to focus on all the little fine detail of something. I know, for some of you that know me, you're thinking, yeah, girl, like that is not even that doesn't surprise me at all. Some of you don't know me that well, so you might not know that. But I am very much a visionary. I see very big picture, the whole thing. But then as I start in process, I see every tiny little detail that needs to take place, right? And so sometimes I get stuck on one of those little fine details. And one of my coaches asked me a question one time, and I thought it was an excellent question. I will never, ever forget it. And when I find myself really focusing on something or kind of obsessing on it a little bit, or I can't get it off my mind, I ask myself the question that she asked me. And she asked me, she said, on the scale of eternity, how important is this? Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. I was kind of just like blown away. Because, you know what, on the scale of eternity, it wasn't that big of a deal. I thought my career was ending. I was going to lose my entire team. I was a horrible leader, all this kind of stuff. And then I realized, you know what? It was just somebody else being petty. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was always trying to figure out a way around and how to make this person happy and how to prevent this stuff from happening all the time. It's not even worth it. So when I look on the scale or the big picture of things, or eternity, if you want to go that big with it, right? Ask yourself, how important is it really? Maybe that might be a question that you're going to talk to your spouse about tonight. Maybe they get on your nerves about something. Or maybe you can't get your kids to go to sleep. And really, how big of a thing is that on the scale of eternity? If you're going to lose your peace over it, how important is it really? I know that I try to stay in a place of perfect peace. That's part of my belief system. So if it's robbing me of my peace, I need to take it to God. I need to surrender it. And then I need to really ask myself, on the scale of eternity, or on the bigger scale of things, how important is this? And then you can pick your battles. If you need to have a conversation with someone or do something else about it, then you can choose that. And for some of you, it might be it's a big deal. It might be a 9 or a 10 on the scale of eternity, or in the big picture of things. Okay, so that's another good question that you can ask. Another one, when you're moving somebody from a scale to, on a scale of 1 to 10 to a 10, and they're not able to get quite there, a question for that could be, what could be the challenge in taking action? So that you can understand what is challenging them. Why aren't they able to get to that action space? Okay, so there's a ton of questions that I've given you so far around goal setting and planning, moving through the action step and the way forward with your coaching process. And I want to give you a couple more questions around accountability or that celebration, right? So if you're establishing the accountability, you might want to ask, what are you going to do? That can be phrased all kinds of different ways. What are you going to do? 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 So just watch your tone. Same thing. When you're coaching, you want to watch your tone as well. Okay? When are you going to do it? What support do you need? What can make it fun and exciting? Because I want it to be fun and exciting. Everybody does. A C personality is not going to care if it's fun and exciting. Okay, so keep in mind that you need to coach according to the personality styles. And inside of my Master Your Leadership Faster, I do teach and train you on like all of the different personalities and how to coach according to the personalities. So if you guys are interested in that and you're a leader, that might be a good program to check out. You can go to BeckySpieth.com around that. Hey, Misty, glad to see you. Another question would be, how will we know you've done it? How will we celebrate that? Goes back to what we were talking about with the Bitmojis and everything. Okay, so then let's talk about like your session's over, right? You're good to go. As a coach, take a deep breath. You'll get a cup of tea or coffee. Go to the potty before the next one sits down, right? Or next one comes and you've got to get on the phone again. But we're really not done coaching. Okay, when we are in that space, realize that the next group of questions will be around the feedback and the insight they learned. Now, this will either be, some of the questions can be on their coaching call prep form that we talked about that they do the night before, or you can do them in session. Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to recommend when you are in session, the very next session, is that you ask, what are we celebrating this week? And it might not have anything to do with what they set for their weekly accountability, the night or the last session. That's okay. Go with it, right? It's not a big deal. What we want to do is we want to put them in a positive frame of mind when we're starting this session. Because they're going to come to the session thinking they want to fix everything that's wrong with them, right? and everything that's not working, and that this is going to be the answer to everything in life in this one session, which we know that's just not going to take place, but we're going to do our best. And so they come, and they're going to want to talk about what didn't go right. They're going to want to whine at you, and I just will be honest with you. I do not bring cheese to the coaching session. So there's no wine. There's no cheese. Okay. So I like to start off with actually the celebration. Okay. So what are we celebrating? And then, what would you like to celebrate around that? If you are coming back to the space, you do want to find out what they did with their action step that they agreed to. So what are they going to celebrate around that? What would they do differently? Because we know practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, right? And I would rather learn from not experience, but somebody else's experience, right? So when we think about our perspective here, we want to make sure that we also provide a way for them to learn and grow forward, maybe even course correct. But I also like to find out what was the challenging part, because this gives me a clue as to what else they need to grow in. What else are they still struggling with? And it might be tied in, if you notice the same things are happening over the course of several sessions or different categories, you might realize that that's where the true root is, right? And so that might be an area to talk about during one of their sessions. Okay, so you might want to just keep, I kind of feel like as a coach, we kind of play detective too a little bit. And so keep that in the back of your mind. What did you learn from the experience? How can you apply the learning? And then what are some new options, right? So there you have it, from beginning to end of your session, and then even the beginning of the next session. Those are my coaching questions. So what I'd love to do is I'd love to open this up for questions. If you guys have any questions, you can just type them into the thread. And they can be in regards to anything, really. I'm kind of an open book. Like, I don't have anything to hide, really. So anything that you have as far as a question goes in regards to coaching, running your business, whether it's a coaching business or a speaking business or a direct selling business. I've built a multi-million-dollar organization in direct selling. I train speakers and coaches all the time and help them with their businesses. I mentor as well as coach. So anything that you have, feel free to just type into the comments, and I'd be happy to answer those for you. I have certification from the Worldwide Association of Business Coaches, the John Maxwell team. Lots and lots of classes and courses on facilitation and coaching, and I just want to be here to serve. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is I love to serve. I love to coach because I love to see that transformation take place, right? Okay, so I'm interested in coaching according to personalities. Where do I go? So Gladys, what you need to do is you can connect with me. You can private message me on Facebook. And even if we're not friends, you can still send a message, and then I just have to approve it. And I promise, Gladys, I will approve you. And we can carry on that conversation because it makes a really, really big difference. Okay. And, I think first understanding the personalities and then understanding how to coach them is a unique skill. So Emily says, thanks for all your input and ideas. I like the questions to change myself and my team and my hostesses too. Awesome. So you're welcome. I'm going to try to go back here onto my computer and see if I can see these. Give me just a second, because some of them, the questions are just a little bit too long and they're not coming all the way through just on my phone, right? So let me log back in because it went to sleep. Thanks so much for staying with me, guys. I hope that you found this of value. I know that when I was first starting to coach my team, I sure wish somebody would have given me a ton of questions. That would have been so great. Okay, so I've got several people that are actually on the thread, so not sure what's going on there. Okay, so anyways, Emily, you are welcome. So any other questions that you have for me, just post them inside of the Facebook group, and the Facebook Live, and I'd be happy to answer those questions for you. For some reason, I cannot locate this on my Facebook, so I don't know if I'm just challenged or what, but I'm not seeing it here. Oh, here it is. Okay, got it now. I just had to refresh. So, let's see. I'm so glad you like it. You liked it. I appreciate you being here for so many because you're such a huge personality. Thank you. Oh, Susie, you're so welcome. It's just my pleasure to serve. Yes, Chris, if you are interested, all you need to do is contact support@beckyspieth.com, or you can private message me on Facebook. Do you have the questions listed for us anywhere we can access them for future reference? You know, Marie, I wish I could give them to you, but they are in a program that I sell. And so to honor the investment of those that have paid for them, what I can tell you is I can't just like send them to you, but you can watch the video again as soon as we're finished and you'll be able to find them that way. Or if you're interested in, getting them and learning to coach this way, I'd be happy to, talk to you about joining that program. Are you live on Facebook every Tuesday evening? Dorothy, I'm not. But I did have somebody ask me, would I do some live things more consistently? And I'm open to that. I like doing the Facebook Lives. They're super easy. So if you have a specific topic, you can actually go to one of my pages on Facebook and let me know, or just put it, in a private message to me. But what are you interested in learning? I'd be happy to consider doing more Facebook Lives, and we could consider a regular time frame, kind of like the TV program that I do. Marie said, thank you. I love your beautiful spirit. Thank you so much, Marie. I loved working with you, so it's beautiful to see you here. Thank you so much. Why don't we just take a second? I know there's still some of you still on with me. What are some of the topics you guys would want to learn about? Because, I just don't want to make stuff up. I want to do stuff that I know you guys are going to really appreciate. So, I don't know if it would deal with coaching, or if you were thinking more towards like direct selling or sales, or I don't know, I'll share anything with you, like how to, mind map, how to do more of a schedule. I mean, I don't know. What are you guys interested in? If you'll just message inside of here right now, that'd be kind of cool. How to coach, Latricia. Okay, so Latricia, that's what I did today, is I did one on this already, like on coaching. And that's stored on my timeline as well. And then also this one, it was all on how to coach and how to power coach your team, and then also the coaching questions. Okay, Gladys says, how do you end a contract when it's not going anywhere? Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so I set up agreements in the beginning, so we have a certain amount of agreed sessions. So Gladys, let me ask you this: Are you in direct selling, or are you talking about an actual coach agreement as a professional coach? I need to know the difference here. If you could let me know. Oh, how to coach a CEO. Okay. Latricia, I saw that. That's really good. Okay, because I can definitely do that. Cheryl, I would highly recommend you, Becky, for coaching. And I do all the time. You've helped me move forward in my business and in personal growth. Investment is so worth it. Thank you, Cheryl. I love working with you. You're one of my besties. Okay, so Gladys was asking as a professional coach. Okay, so you have an agreement at the beginning, and so you have to honor that agreement. Inside of your agreement, you may want to have a clause in there that gives you the option to do like a reevaluation at like halfway through. And I don't know, Gladys, also sometimes, the employer's paying, which gives a whole different dynamic if the person isn't actually wanting to shift or change. So that can get really kind of weird as well. But I usually in my corporate agreements have a reevaluation, but realize that if they don't, you can have a clause in there that you may refund them if they're not coachable or become uncoachable, or you may have to refund them. So it depends on that, and I would look at what your agreement says and also contact your attorney. But I think most people really would like, Cheryl, you're so funny about mind mapping, Latricia, about mind maps. I love it. So I will definitely do one on mind mapping. Um, One of the things that I think is important when we're talking, Gladys, about ending that agreement is I would prefer to see what's holding them back from being coachable and really work with them. I had a couple of clients that I really, really struggled with, and they would like call into their appointment. I mean, I would just like be beside myself and didn't even look forward to their coaching experience. And I love the coaching experience. So I just had to have a conversation with them and let them know that I really cared about their success. And, you know, we needed to talk about, you know, why this wasn't working or how did they feel about it. And did they feel it was working and moving in the direction they wanted to? As long as they feel like they're still moving in a direction that they're happy with, then I say continue, because possibly there's just a belief barrier there. There's something there that needs to be reframed or broken through. That might not be the case. So I think having a good conversation with them, I think having the clause in their agreement is also helpful to do that midway like evaluation. I have that in mind as well. So I think those are probably some of the easiest ways to do that. So Maureen Menard is asking, what is mind mapping? Here's a picture of my mind map from what we were going to talk about today. And it's just a way to diagram out your thoughts according to how your brain works. Okay, so that helps a lot with helping you remember. Okay, so it's just a way to get your thoughts out. It's kind of like outlining your thoughts, except it's done in a way that is usually pretty colorful, sometimes with pictures, and it just helps you think more clearly and helps you remember. Okay? Okay, so let's see. Gladys says, okay, perfect. That's awesome. I like the reevaluation. It sounds perfect to check what's holding them back. I like that reframe. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Any other topics you would want me to do a Facebook Live on? I'd be happy to kind of entertain that. And if you guys kind of think about it, and you just want to private message me like, hey, I was thinking about, I'd love it if you do a Facebook Live on this. Let me know. And maybe we'll consider doing it more often. I know for right now we committed to once a month. But I'd be open to considering doing more than that if you guys are interested, right? I want to thank you guys for being with me. I know I've been on for a full hour. That's a lot. I think a lot of fast talking for me. But I hope that you found really great value in it. I love to coach. So if you're looking for a coach, I might be the one, I might not be. I don't take everybody on as a client, so don't be offended. I do have a limited availability. I have a couple of spots right now available. But that's not the purpose for this. The purpose for this was really to just help you become a better coach to your team and to really understand like what coaching is and you know, give you some questions. Patty, you're amazing. Thank you. You are very sweet, and I appreciate that as well. But thanks so much for being on with me, guys. And, you know, I send out free training videos for direct sellers every single Saturday. I've got some really good ones coming up, so you don't want to miss out on that. If you are a direct seller, go over to BeckySpieth.com. It's a great place to have free training videos, and I've got hundreds there. And I think we figured out today with Dennis and he's going to be my guest on my Bible study I do every Monday, and you know that's free as well. You can get the information on the Christian Direct Seller Facebook page, or you can also get it on my website, BeckySpieth.com. Go to free resources, and you'll see that there Mondays at 8:30 in the morning Central Time. But then we've been doing that since 2012, like every week. And so there's lots of great Bible studies by topics. There are you know, free video blogs. I think there's hundreds. I know there's hundreds of training videos there. If you are not in direct selling, but you'd like to stay connected, there's also a free offer on leadersempowered.com. But I just want to stay connected. So good night, Cheryl. Sweet dreams. Susie says, how long do you pursue an individual before they say enough is enough and let go? Patty says, Monday morning calls are a great way to start the week. Thanks. Yeah, they're pretty empowering. I try not to beat you up. I try to make it be really motivational and inspiring from the word on, you know, just starting your week off with God. And then, of course, praying for everybody and their needs throughout the week. So, Susie, I am not sure if you're talking about direct sales or if you're talking about something else. So I really don't pursue people, right? I don't want to convince them to come to the start line to anything. So I work a lot from just referrals or people that see me and want to do business with me. I invite a lot of people, and then I let them choose, because I that's what I believe in. I think 3 times is a lot. I know most yeses come after the 5th exposure, though. So it's up to you. You've got to listen to your gut, and it depends on what you're talking about, because I'm not really sure like what specific situation you're talking about, so it's hard for me to answer that. Let me see. Any other questions coming through that I missed? I don't think I've missed any. But thank you guys. Thanks for joining me for my John Maxwell friends. I will see you soon, Saturday. And again, I don't have any private appointments left, I don't think, for the IMC while I'm there. I think I'm pretty much scheduled the entire time. But if you do want to connect, private message me. I know last time I was there, I did like a group get together. They had like my banner out in the hallway, and I said, meet me by the banner. So I'm not sure how it's going to all be set up. So we will see how that goes. But I do have a couple people wanting to know about how to do makeup. If you're interested in that, let me know. If you're not, that's cool too. But I hope that this was of value for you. And I hope that your coaching goes well. And if you're coaching a team, let me know what you're going to use from this to coach your team. And then also how it goes. Know that I'm here for you guys. And I hope you have a really good night. I'll talk with you guys later. Bye.